The challenge of life for most people on a day-to-day basis is the same challenge that any human is going to have within their own framework, that is stressful on the thoughts, on the emotions, on your thinking, on challenging your emotions and things, trying to push you in a direction that you're not familiar with, fear of stepping out of your comfort zone, fear of change. And there's a whole wide and range of a variety of different challenges that we need to understand that those challenges and that struggle that we have on a day-to-day basis, through our interactions through work and with family and friends and associates, and sometimes out of the blue with people that we don't know. Um, Everyone has challenges, and it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you think that you're at the lowest of your lowest, or if you feel at your lowest at your lowest, or if you think that things can't get any worse, or the rain's come down and hailed on your parade, and or it could be losing a job. It could be bad news. It could be a state of desperation that you've put yourself in, where life is full of bad news every day. It seems to be that way, and it's like a tsunami. Bad day after bad day after bad day after bad day. But you can't change those days or hope to get a better run or hope to get a better outcome to what happens to us on a day-to-day basis with struggle if we're not aware of we may be a part of that struggle. We may be a part of that struggle. That's just my theory. Through my life, I've understood that for every action there's a reaction. For everything that people put out or I've put out in the world, it's come back to me. And that's a very hard thing to accept, because then without blaming circumstances or situations for struggles that we end up in pretty much on a day-to-day basis, then how do we deal with it? How do we accept it that we may be a part of our tough days through our attitude? Well, you can't accept it until you acknowledge that that's a possibility. That you are contributing to things that aren't making your life pleasant. And it's hard and it's frustrating. And you seem to be going around in circles and ended up in the same situations, and it's hard to get a break. Subtly we don't see a lot of things that we do and we create. That's why the more open we can be to other people's opinions and views on how we're behaving and what we're doing, the more we can see the things that we didn't see prior to that. There's a lot of freedom in 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 accountability for what we do and how we do it. But how do we relieve it? How do we? It's nice to go, oh, it's your fault, and if it wasn't for this, this wouldn't have happened, or how dare you cut me off on the street, or if it wasn't for you, or how dare that person do that to me, or I'm sick of getting no's, and I just want to give up, and like that's a coping mechanism. But it keeps you trapped. It keeps you trapped in the same way of dealing with things all the time by the same behaviours that have never been looked at or challenged. And you don't get those opportunities to look at these behaviours that can keep us trapped in struggle until we take accountability. And one of the telltale signs of accountability for me, anyway, is when I do start blaming, and when I do start externalising that I've had nothing to do with what's happening to me. It's all circumstances and situations and other people's fault. But for me, I believe that's a lie. I believe I have something to do with everything that happens in life. And there's been a lot of freedom in that, as far as seeing new ways and looking at myself. The more I've looked at myself and the more I've looked at what I'm doing in my life, as far as trying to sort out that I'm accountable for hardship and struggle and the choices that I make. That's all in there. I've learned a great deal about how I operate and how I act. And it's good to look at ourselves. The more we can look at ourselves, the more we can start seeing things. The less we look at ourselves, our focus goes to other things like other people and circumstances in struggle, and that's that doesn't allow you to look at other things. The quicker you can look at yourself in things that aren't happening for you in your life or struggle, and not play victim to events that are out of your control, as far as how you're going to cope with things that have to be dealt with on a day-to-day basis, because you still got to function, you still got to operate, you still got to integrate with other people on a day-to-day basis. You're still associating with people and attitudes and behaviours with others and your own, and so you can't. You can tap out if you want. But there's no need to tap out when you can start owning that, even if you decided to tap out and hopefully that's not going to happen, where people go to an extreme of, say, suicide, or I'm not saying that that's right or wrong, but you can understand why people find it hard and take those measures. But those people haven't been taught by anyone to take stock of themselves. It's always been other people's fault. That's why they struggle to talk about their feelings, because nobody wants to listen. They feel isolated. And I'm generalising the people that do extreme behaviour like suicide, but that's one of the biggest messages I hear. The people who come through suicide, they just wanted an ear. They just wanted to be heard. They were in pain. They couldn't talk about it. Nobody's ever shown them the power in talking. Nobody's ever shown them to deal with those internal feelings and thoughts. Because, most people that interact with other people blame other people for what's happening to them also. So, anybody that's associated with people, parents and siblings and friends, and it's everywhere. Turn on the TV, everyone's blaming everything for something, or, if it's not a virus, it's this, or if it's not the virus, it's something else. So to own it, to start the process of getting out of struggle, you got to own it. You got to own it. You got to own it. You got to own the feelings. You got to own the thoughts. You got to take responsibility for yourself, and that's just the start. And to get to that start, that's a major achievement in one's life. And if you can think about that today, hopefully you can start looking at yourself and making different decisions and helping yourself with understanding that you're part of the problem and I'm part of my problems. And the more we're part of our problems, the more we can fix them. Have a great day. Oh yeah, don't be shy to subscribe or like what you hear. It helps. But that's not my main motive, to get likes from people. I just get this stuff up there because it's all worked for me, and I've had a fantastic life through what I talk about. Alright, take care. Look after yourselves. Be good to your loved ones.